Student, this question is asking that among sodium cation, sodium atom, magnesium and magnesium cation, the largest particle is. So, sodium and magnesium are belonging to common period, and while moving left to right in a period, size decreases. So, sodium is having larger size as compared to magnesium. Configuration of sodium is 281, 3 shells are present. Magnesium 282, 3 shells are present. While removal of 2 electrons from this magnesium, we will get here the Mg+2 configuration having 2,8 configuration. Mg+2 ion having 2,8 configuration. Next, after removal of 1 electron, we will get here the Na+1 2,8 configuration. It means both of these are isoelectronic. But magnesium is having 12 proton. It means nuclear attraction is more as compared to 11 proton. Atomic number of sodium is 11 here. So both of these are having the smaller size, because here we are having 1, 2, 3 shell, 1, 2, 3 shell. And here only 1, 2, 1, 2 shells. But size of magnesium is smaller as compared to sodium, because more proton are present in the nucleus. Nuclear attraction is more. So Mg+2 is going to be smallest. Then we are having here the Na+1. Obviously after this 3 shell are the common, and magnesium is small as compared to sodium atom. This is the order. So largest particle is sodium atom. Third option is correct here. Thank you. Hello student, this question is asking that which one of the following on hydrolysis, this is the keyword, gives the corresponding metallic hydroxide. Student, as far as addition of water is concerned, all of these will form here the hydroxide. In the water, all of these will form here the hydroxide. So hydroxide formation is there, but these reactions are of hydration. It means addition of water. These are the reaction of hydration. But here, sodium peroxide, Na2O2. Student, peroxide bond is such that oxygen, single bond, oxygen, -1, -1. This is a peroxide. So here the bond is present between two oxygen. While addition of water, we will get here the sodium hydroxide. It means these bonds between two oxygen are broken. So breaking of bond by a water molecule is famously known as the hydrolysis, and this is observed in case of sodium peroxide. Second option is correct here. Thank you. Question, this question is asking that which gas is liberated when aluminum carbide is hydrolyzed. So here Al4C3, this is also considered as methanoid because it will produce here methane. So while addition of water, carbide, it means carbon is having minus, aluminium plus. So we will get here, how can we identify? First of all, aluminium are 4, single aluminium, the charge is 3. So into 4, it means 12, plus 12 charge is present. So on 3 carbon, obviously minus 12 will be present. So on 3 carbon, minus 12 is there. Because of that, minus 12 divided by 3, 4. Minus 4 charge on each carbon, it means single carbon is bonded by 4 hydrogen. So we will get here the methane and aluminium hydroxide. 4 aluminium, just write here the 4 plus OH minus aluminium hydroxide, and 12 hydroxide are there, just write here the 12H, 3 hydrogen, 12H. It means methane is produced here. So first option is correct here, rest of these are not possible. Thank you. Vishwan, this question is asking that the thermal stability of CF4 is, first of all, this is depending on, thermal stability is depending on the strength of internal bond. Strength of internal bond. If internal bond is strong, in that case thermal stability will be more. So first of all, we are having the four kind of compound. One is a CF4, another one CCl4, SiF4 and SiCl4. Because central atom is common, so we'll compare first of all CCl4 and CF4. Then SiF4 and SiCl4. So central atom is common here, and the size of chloride is more as compared to fluoride. Size of anion is more. So according to Fajan's rules, there will be more polarization. If you are comparing here the covalent property, then it will show here the more covalent property, and this will show here the more ionic property because of small size of anion. If ionic properties are more, then the strength of the bond will be more. Lattice energy, because lattice energy is more here, and because of that high lattice energy, CF bond will be stronger. It means required energy to break the CF bond will be more, because of that thermal stability also more here. So here CCl bond and CF bond, this bond is stronger. Because of high strength of the bond, we can say CF4 is having more thermal stability. Same will happen with the SiCl4 and SiF4. Now it's a tie between the CF4 and SiF4, because central atom is having a small size, and here the large size of central atom is there. And carbon fluorine bond and SiF bond, this bond will be strong due to small size of carbon and the fluorine, and here the large size of silicon will make here the less lattice energy, because lattice energy is depending on the charge, directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to size. Due to small size, lattice energy is more, so CF4 will be having here the maximum thermal stability. So now you can compare it. CF4 is having less than is the wrong option, student, more than SiF4, more than all of these, but option is given here more than SiF4, so second option is correct here. Thank you. Student, this question is asking that which of the following ore is used for industrial extraction? It means extraction in more amount of aluminium in India, in our country. So first of all, we are having the formula of corundum, and this is aluminum oxide, anhydrous. Bauxite is hydrated aluminum oxide. Next, kaolin or kaolinite, and the formula is Al2Si2O5OH whole 4. Next, cryolite, sodium aluminium fluoride. So the main ore of aluminium is bauxite, and for we can say concentration of this bauxite, we are using here the Bayer process. In case iron oxide is present in more amount, Serpek process for the concentration. In case silica SiO2 is present in more amount. Then after getting here the Al2O3, it means the alumina, we are going for the Hall Heroult reduction process, whose process for obtaining here the 100% pure aluminium. So all the techniques are based on this main ore, that is bauxite ore. So third option is going to be correct here. Thank you. When this question is asking that the hybridization of central nitrogen atom in N2O, nitrous oxide, laughing gas. So structure is N triple bond and coordinate bond O. Octet of each and every atom is complete here. Nitrogen sigma 1, sigma 2, pi 1, pi 2. So sigma bond equals to number of hybrid orbital. So we can write here that 1 plus 1, 2 sigma, and no any lone pair is present here. This will show here the sp hybridization. Got it? And the bond angle is 180 degree. Structure is truly linear. linear. So hybridization is sp. First option is correct here. Thank you. Ashwin, this question is asking that what causes nitrogen, it means molecular nitrogen, to be chemically inert. It means less reactive. So nitrogen is considered as the inert, though it is not the inert gas like the helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. But due to presence of the triple bond, Ashwin, union is strength. And here you can see that its bond dissociation energy is really very high. It doesn't react at room temperature. At room temperature, this is inert. This is inert. So high electron negativity is the wrong option. Absence of bond polarity, wrong option. And of course, as far as the oxygen is concerned, bond polarity is absent. Both of these are the common atom, but this is highly reactive at the room temperature. Next, highly, it means we can say more reactive as compared to nitrogen. Short internuclear distance, this is the identity of fluorine molecule, F2 molecule. High bond energy. Why high? Because bond order is high. High bond order is there, 3 bond order. So bond energy directly proportional to bond order. More the number of bond between the atom, high energy will be required here to break these bond. Fourth option is correct here. Thank you. Ishwan, this question is asking that electron affinity of sulfur is, and you can see that this is compared with the oxygen and the selenium. So oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and the polonium, these are the elements of common group. So as far as the trend of electron affinity is concerned, it says that electron affinity is inversely proportional to size. It means smaller the size, more will be the electron affinity. So there must be that oxygen is having here maximum electron affinity. Why? Because its size is smallest. But in the second period, especially nitrogen, oxygen and the fluorine shows here less electron affinity as compared to third period element. If I am comparing here the electron affinity, then nitrogen is having less than phosphorus, oxygen less than sulfur, fluorine less than chlorine. Why so? Because due to small size, electron density is more. Electron repulsion is also more. Upcoming electron experience here the repulsion. And because of this repulsion, addition of electron is tough. So electron affinity reduces. Because of that, we can say that oxygen will show here the less electron affinity and sulfur will show maximum electron affinity in this case. So let's check the option. It says that electron affinity of sulfur is more than oxygen and selenium. So here the order is sulfur will show the maximum. Next, after this, we are having the selenium. Next, tellurium. Next, polonium. Oxygen will show here the minimum. According to this trend, oxygen should show here the maximum, but here it will show here the minimum electron affinity. This is the trend. So sulfur is having more than oxygen and selenium. Sulfur is having more than selenium and oxygen both. It means first option is correct here. More than oxygen but less than selenium, not possible. Rest of these are we can say the wrong statement. Equal to oxygen, selenium, wrong. Less than oxygen, again the wrong. Only first option is correct here. Thank you. Ashwin, this question is asking that Ti plus 2 is purple and Ti plus 4 is colorless. So what is the reason behind this? Due to the presence of unpaired electron, and ion is colorful, while when all electrons are paired, that time it becomes colorless. So this is the general trend. So configuration of the titanium is atomic number 22. Configuration argon 4s2 3d2. Next, after removal of 2 electron, it will convert into Ti plus 2, and 2 electrons are removed from the outermost shell, that is 4s argon 4s0 3d2. Next, after removal of 2 more electron, it will convert into Ti plus 4 and the configuration will be argon. Earlier we were having 4 as 0, now 2 electrons are removed from the 3d2, so 3d0 is the configuration. And student, you can see that all electrons are paired. Right now this is having here the configuration of the argon. Ti plus 4 is having here the configuration of argon. It means all electrons are paired. If all electrons are paired, this will not show here color. And here 2 electrons are unpaired. Here we are having the 5d orbital, 1 and the 2. Due to presence of unpaired electron, this will show here the color. There will be dd transition of the unpaired electron. dd transition, it means the transition of electron from T2g orbitals to T2g orbitals to Eg orbitals. 5d orbitals are split into 2 categories. One is T2g, making the 3d orbital, and the Eg category is made by the 2d orbitals. Total 5 orbitals are there. There is a transition of electron from T2g to Eg. And during this we will get here the particular color. And the transfer of one kind electron from one kind of d orbital to another kind of d orbital is famously known as the d-d transition. d-d transition. So now you can see that there is no any crystal field effect in the Ti plus 4, wrong. Even the more crystal field effect is there in the Ti plus 4. Crystal field effect means the splitting of ion is more. Splitting of d orbital is more in case metal is having more charge. And here Ti plus 4 is having more charge as compared to Ti plus 2. Wrong statement. So Ti plus 4 has a D2 configuration, wrong option. D0. Next, Ti plus 4 is a very small action when compound to Ti plus 2 and hence does not absorb any radiation, wrong option. Having the more charge. Have a look. Ti plus 2 is having the D2 configuration. So what? Here unpaired electrons are present. So what? There will be dd transition of the unpaired electron due to there will be appearance of color. It means second option is going to be correct. Right now based on the given option, more appropriate option is second, but here unpaired electron statement is not given. But second option is going to be correct for you. Thank you. Ashwin, this question is asking that N factor, famously known as the valency factor. Valency factor. Here N equals to number of electron transferred during a particular redox reaction. So the N factor of KMnO4 potassium per magnet and the charge on the manganese is plus 7. In a neutral medium is, as far as acidic medium is concerned, it will convert into Mn plus 2 from plus 7 to plus 2. Next, in a neutral medium, or you can say that in the basic medium, it will convert into plus 4, and in a strong basic medium, it will convert into Mn plus 6. So the N factor will be valency factor will be. So have a look, 7 to 5, how many electron are transferred? How many electron are, we can say that added here? 5 electron. Valency factor is 5. What is the difference? 7 and 2. 7 to 2, 5 electron. Next, 7 to 4, 3 is the valency factor. And 7 to 6, only one gap is there. Valency factor is 1. So in the neutral medium, this KMnO4 will convert in MnO2 having plus 4 charge and plus 7 and the plus 4 having the difference of 3. So the N factor is 3. Fourth option is correct here. Thank you. Ashwin, this question is asking that CrO3 is colored. First of all, in this CrO3, the charge on the chromium is plus 6. How can we say? Because chromium X, 1 oxygen minus 2, 3 oxygen minus 6 equals to 0. The value of X equals to plus 6. And the configuration of the chromium equals to argon, 4s1, 3d5. In case of plus 6 state, Cr plus 6 will be having here the configuration of argon. It means all electron are paired. In case unpaired electron are present, we can justify here DD transition is there. Due to presence of unpaired electron, there may be color. But here unpaired electron are not present here. It will not show here any kind of the crystal defect. Yes, of course, ZnO is white. No any unpaired electron is present. So on heating, it converts into yellow. This is the crystal defect. And this is the metal excess crystal defect. Metal efficiency crystal defect. But here in this case, what will happen is not only in this, but chromate is yellow in color. Dichromate Cr2O7-2 orange in color. Similarly, MnO4- permanganate, its color is purple. While no any central metal is having here the unpaired electron. So which theory is applicable here, responsible here? When metal is having here the highest oxygen state, and this is bonded by ligand, especially the oxygen. So there will be transfer of charge. There will be transfer of charge from ligand to metal. Ligand, it means electron rich species. So this is famously known as the ligand metal charge transfer theory. Charge is transfer, charge is the electron, electron is transfer, and during this transfer, this will show here a particular color. This will emit some energy and the color will appear here. So yellow for the chromate, orange for the dichromate, and purple for the permanganate. And here charge transfer spectra is responsible. Ligand metal charge transfer spectra. Third option is correct here. Low ionization enthalpy, not possible, student, because 6 electrons are removed here. So IP is not going to be, we can say, reason behind this. So wrong option. In case of the low ionization energy, electron will be removed easily. Got it? Like the alkali metal are showing here the particular color. So this is not possible. Only third option is correct for you. Thank you. Hello Shen, this question is asking that which order is correct in spectrochemical series of ligands. So Shen, in the NCERT spectrochemical series given, approximately 15-16 ligands are given here. So very simple trick is there by which you can identify here the order of strength of ligand according to spectrochemical series. Have a look. And the sentence is Indian brother Sachin clears super fast. Indian brother Sachin clears super fast. So Indian for the iodide, brother for the bromide, and Sachin SCN thiocyanato clears chlorine, chlorido group. So this is the order. Super fast, super sulfur, sulfide, fast fluorine, fluoride. So this is the order. This is the order. Iodide, bromides, thiocyanato, chloride, sulfide, fluoride. Next sentence is hidden ox in water. Both of these are not related. Hidden ox in water. Hidden, it means hydroxide. Ox, oxalato. In water, H2O. This is the order. So both of these are not related. Indian brother Sachin clears super fast and hidden ox in water. So what we'll do? We'll do here the editing to make here common. So Nix edits. Nix may be the name of any person. Nix edits Aman and Knight Sinocar. So Nix, so NCN, NCS, that was SCN, thiocyanato, this is the isothiocyanato, NCS, Nix edits EDTA, Aman, amine. Nix edits Aman in Knight Scientific Car. Nix edits Aman in Knight Scientific Car. So next NCS, ETA, next Aman amine group, and EN ethylene diamine. EN is a representation. This is the order of strength. Next, in Knight, Knight it means nitrite, scientific cyano, car, carbonyl, CO. This is the order. This is the order. So we want here the correct order. After chloride, fluoride is the correct. Chloride, fluoride, and oxalato, oxalato. Next, nitrite. Here's the nitrite. Next, after the nitrite, we are having the cyanide. This is the correct order of strand. First order is correct here. Cyanide is considered as a weak field ligand and the chloride is strong. So, wrong. Next, fluoride is having more strength than oxalato. Not possible. Fluoride, then hydroxide, then oxalato. Oxalato is having here the more strength. Wrong. Fluoride, then chloride. Wrong statement. Chloride is having less strength as compared to fluoride. So the wrong. Only first option is correct. Thank you.
Hello dear students. So our next question is the IUPAC name of. We have a compound, right? So now, first of all, what is the format for the IUPAC name? So format for IUPAC name is 2 degree prefix, then 1 degree prefix, then word root, then 1 degree suffix, and then 2 degree suffix. Clear? Students, in 1 degree suffix, if a compound is having substituents, then name of substituents is written with the position in alphabetical order in 2 degree prefix, right? In the 1 degree prefix, is compound is cyclic, then the cyclo prefix is used, right? Now word root. So maximum number of carbon which is present in principal carbon chain is written in word root, right? Now 1 degree suffix. If compound is saturated and unsaturated, then an in ine is written with position. In 2 degree suffix is used for the principal functional group with the position. Clear? So this is the format for IUPAC name. Now we have a compound, right? So first of all, in this compound, we have to determine the principal functional group. So here, amide is a principal functional group, right? So this is our PFG. And this cyclic ring, this 6-membered cyclic ring, which is actually attached to the C double bond of group, this is our principal carbon chain. Clear? Now, this phenyl ring which is actually attached to this nitrogen atom, this is our substituent. Clear? Now, first of all, we have to written substituent. So, substituent, because this substituent is actually attached to nitrogen atom. So, N-phenyl, it will be N-phenyl, and this is our principal carbon chain, and here this is cyclic compound. So 1 degree prefix is used for that cyclo, and 6-membered cyclic ring, so cyclohexane, because this is saturated, so ane is used for the saturated compound. Now we will come to the 2 degree suffix. So this amide is our functional group. So for the amide functional group, amide and carboxamide, both suffix is used, right? Both suffix we can use, but because C double bond of group of amide is not included in the principal carbon chain, so carboxamide suffix is used for the PFG. So here carboxamide suffix we can use for the amide functional group. So name is N-phenyl cyclohexane carboxamide. So option 3 is the correct option. Thank you. Hello students. So our next question is, we have 3 compounds. Rate of abstraction of iodine by Ag plus is for these compounds. So students, in the first compound, after the abstraction of iodine, carbocation will form at this carbon atom. Clear? And this carbocation will participate in the resonance by this pi bond, because carbocation is in the conjugation with this pi bond, right? And it will get stabilized by the 2 alpha hydrogen of this carbon atom, right? So this carbocation will get stability by the resonance and 2 alpha hydrogen. Clear? And after the abstraction of iodine in the compound second, carbocation will form at this carbon atom, and after the formation of carbon atom, this compound will become an anti-aromatic compound. this compound will become an antiaromatic compound. And we know that antiaromatic compound is highly unstable compound. So rate of abstraction for the compound B will be very low, because after the abstraction of iodine, it will become an antiaromatic compound which is very unstable. Clear? In the compound C, after the abstraction of iodine, carbocation will form at this carbon atom, and this carbocation will get stability by the 4 alpha hydrogen. Clear? So now rate of abstraction of iodine by Ag plus for these compounds is, order will be A, then C, then B, right? Because this carbocation is more stable carbocation than B and C because of resonance, and resonance is always dominator factor, right? So rate of abstraction of iodine for the compound A will be very high. Now compound B will become an antiaromatic compound which is very unstable, right? So rate of abstraction of iodine for this compound will be very less. So rate of abstraction of iodine for this compound is in the order ACB. So option 4 is the correct answer. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is, ethine adds on HCl to first give A. So we have this ethine, this is our smallest ethine molecule. So when this ethine will react with HCl, then first of all it will gives us so when this ethine adds on HCl to first give A, the pi bond of electrons of this pi bond will attach to the vacant orbital of H plus and Cl minus will release. So here hydrogen will attach and carbocation will form at this carbon atom, right? So this is vinylic cation because this group is known as vinylic group, CH2 double bond CH2. This group is known as vinyl group, right? Here we have a free valency. So this group is known as vinyl group. So this is vinylic cation, right? So ethine adds on HCl to first give a vinylic cation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is, we have this alkyl dihalide, and when this alkyl dihalide reacts with magnesium in presence of ether, and here one equivalent of magnesium is given, right? And we know that carbon bromine bond is a weak bond and carbon chlorine bond is a strong bond, right? So here Grignard reagent will form at this carbon atom. Here will form MgBr, right? And we know that Grignard reagent is a good source of alkyl nucleophile. It will react with D2O, and here acid-base reaction will take place, and here product of this reaction will be deuterium will come to this carbon atom, right? Now this is our alkyl halide. Now this alkyl halide is further react with sodium metal. In presence of dry ether solvent, right? And students, we know that when alkyl halide will react with sodium metal in presence of dry ether solvent, then it will gives us dimerization of product, or we can say that it will gives us alkane, right? So in this reaction, first of all, this homolytic bond cleavage of carbon halogen bond will take place, and free radical will form in this reaction. So here deuterium and free radical will form at this carbon atom, and it will dimerize with the similar free radical, right? So product which is obtained in this reaction is the option 2. So this is the major product of this reaction. This free radicals will dimerize to each other, and this is our major product of this reaction. So option 2 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Ishwan, this question is asking that which one is a nucleophilic substitutional reaction among the following. So first of all, Ishwan, you can see this is the propene molecule and the water in acidic medium. So we are getting here the alcohol 2-propanol. So obviously by the addition of these two molecules we are getting this product. This is the additional reaction. We want here the nucleophilic substitution reaction. This is an additional reaction, and this is going to happen according to Markovnikov rules. So this is called here the electrophilic additional reaction. Electrophilic additional reaction. We want here the substitution, not possible here. Again, student, you can see that the RCHO, it means the aldehyde, and the Grignard resin, both of these R and the R dash are combining here to make this product. In a single product, we are getting this. Though the next step is after formation of adduct. After formation of adduct, next step is hydrolysis. Next is what? Hydrolysis. But this is a nucleophilic additional reaction, not substitutional reaction. So again, we can say this is going to be a wrong option here. Next, aldehyde and ketone reaction with the HCN to produce here the cyanohydrin. Again, this is the nucleophilic additional reaction. Both of these are combining here to make this single product, additional reaction. But we want here substitutional reaction. Student, you can see this bromo is substituted by the amine group. So now I am drawing here the structure, student. First of all, we are having reacting molecules CH3, CH2, carbon 1 methyl CH2Br, and HNH2. Can we write here the formula of ammonia in such way? H plus NH2 minus Br minus CH2 plus, though it is also delta plus and the delta minus. So student, HBr molecule is removed here. HBr is removed here. And now in spite of this bromo, we are getting here the amine group. In spite of bromo, we are getting here amine group. It means this bromo is substituted by NH2 group, and NH2 is what? The minus group. Which group is this? This is truly a nucleophile. So nucleophilic substitution reaction is taking place here. So this haloalkane is converting into amine. Third option is going to be perfect here, in which NH2 minus is working as a nucleophile, and this is substituting here the bromo group. So we are getting here the product of substitutional. This is a nucleophilic substitutional reaction. That is your answer, option third. Thank you.
Hello dear students, so our next question is, here we have alphenol, and this phenol will treated with HNO2. Now the product P is a major product of this reaction, and the next is benzoquinone. So this benzoquinone will react with NH2OH, which is present in the one equivalent amount, and here Q is a major product, right? So the question is, now P and Q, like options are given that 1, 2, 3, 4 options for the P and Q products, right? So now what is the product P? So students, here we have phenol. So when this phenol will react with HNO2, then it will give us NO plus nitroso electrophile, right? So here this reaction is follows the electrophilic substitution reaction mechanism, and here we will obtain para-nitrosophenol as a major product of this reaction. This is para-nitrosophenol and double bond O, right? Now this para-nitrosophenol will get tautomerized, and after the tautomerization, we will obtain quinoxime as a major product of this reaction. So we will obtain this quinoxime, right? This is major product of this reaction. This is name of this product is quinoxime. This is quinoxime. Now in the second reaction, we have this benzoquinone, and this benzoquinone will react with hydroxylamine, right? So students, when this benzoquinone will react with hydroxylamine, then here H2O will released, and we will obtain again quinoxime like this. Here we have double bond O, this pi bond, and here nitrogen atom is attached to the carbon atom with double bond, like double bond N, and here OH is attached to this nitrogen atom, right? So we will obtain quinoxime. This is product Q and this is our product P, right? So we can say that both P and Q are similar, P and Q are identical, right? In the both reaction we will obtain same product. Now the option 1 is P and Q both are identical product, so option 1 is the correct answer. Option 2, P and Q are structural isomer. No, both are identical. Option 3, possible products of P is 2 and possible product of Q are 3. No, here not any possible products are not present, right? Now the option 4, possible products of P is only 1 and possible products of Q is 2, ortho and para. So option 4 is also incorrect, right? Option 1 is the correct, that P and Q both are identical products, right? Option 1 is the correct answer. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is, which one of the following alcohols is most reactive for SN1 reaction? Students, we know that in the SN1 reaction, carbocation will form as an intermediate of this reaction, right? So reactivity of the compound for SN1 reaction depends on the stability of intermediate, or we can say that stability of carbocation, right? So here we have these 4 alcohol, right? So compound which will form more stable carbocation as an intermediate of this reaction, that compound will be more reactive for SN1 reaction, right? So here in the first reactant, when this first reactant will undergo SN1 reaction, then first of all here we have PH, C, CH3, CH3 and OH, right? So first of all, in the first step of the reaction, here we have H plus acidic medium, and this OH is not a good living group. So OH, this lone pair of the oxygen atom, will get protonated by taking H plus. Okay, so we will obtain here oxonium ion, and this OH will converted into the good living group, right? So now this H2 will leave and we will obtain carbocation as an intermediate of this reaction. So here we have tertiary carbocation, right? And we know that this carbocation is stable by the 6 alpha hydrogen, and resonance of benzene ring, right? And we know that resonance is more dominated factor, right? So this carbocation is stable by the alpha hydrogen and resonance, right? So this, we know that the reactivity of the alcohol depends on the stability of intermediate, right? So in the first reactant, when this first alcohol will undergo SN1 reaction, then we will obtain this carbocation as an intermediate of this reaction, right? So now when this second alcohol will undergo SN1 reaction, then first of all this OH will get protonated and it will leave, and carbocation will form at this carbon atom, right? So this is our intermediate of this reaction. So this carbocation is stable by the resonance of 2 pH ring and hyperconjugation of 1 CH3 group, or we can say that by 3 alpha hydrogen, right? So here in the second compound, because resonance is more present, and we know that if resonance is more, then stability of the carbocation will be more, right? Here resonance is present with only 1 pH ring, but here resonance is present of 2 pH ring, 2 phenyl ring in this compound, right? So this carbocation is more stable compared to first. Now in the third, when this OH group will leave and carbocation will form at this carbon atom, then this is a tertiary carbocation, right? And this carbocation is not having any resonance, it will stabilized by the 9 alpha hydrogen, right? So we know that resonance is more dominated factor, right? So in the carbocation, if resonance is more present, then that will be more stable carbocation and reactivity of that compound will be more for SN1 reaction, right? So here we have next fourth, and in the fourth alcohol, this OH group will leave and we will obtain the secondary carbocation, right? And it will stabilize by the only 6 alpha hydrogen. Any resonance is not present in this compound, right? So here we can see that in the second reactant, more stable carbocation will form, because here resonance of 2 pH ring is present and 3 alpha hydrogen is present, right? So this carbocation is more stable compared to all 4. If this carbocation is more stable, then reactivity of that compound for SN1 reaction will be more, right? So option 2 is the correct answer. This is the most reactive compound for SN1 reaction, right? So students, point which is must be noted that if compound formed more stable carbocation, then that compound will be more reactive for SN1 reaction. So reactivity of a compound for SN1 reaction depends on the stability of the carbocation, right? So option 2 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Okay, come to the next question. The question is, which of the following would give iodoform test? Which of the following would give iodoform test? Here you can see 4 compounds are given in which all have alcohol as an functional group. Here aldehyde or ketone is not present. We know that when any compound has CH3 C double bond O or CH3 CHOH moiety, it gives positive iodoform test. So we have to require to check the CH3CHOH moiety in this compound, because in all 4 options ketone is not present. So if we see this, first compound is glycol, CH2OH and CH2OH. Glycol does not have CH3CHOH moiety, so it cannot be our answer. If we take second, this is tertiary butyl alcohol. This is tertiary butyl alcohol. CH3CHOH moiety is not present, so it cannot be our answer. If we take third, this is N-butyl alcohol. Here also this CH3CHOH moiety is not present, so it cannot be our answer. Only one option is remaining, CH3CHOH, CH2 and CH3. This compound have required unity to give iodoform test, CH3CHOH. So option 4th will be our correct answer. Okay? Yes.
Hello dear students, so our next question is, which of the following compounds on oxidation gives benzoic acid, right? So first of all we have our first option, this is chlorophenol. So this is our chlorophenol. So this chlorophenol on oxidation will not give us benzoic acid, because here any carbon atom is not attached to this benzene ring, right? Second one is chlorotoluene. This is our chlorotoluene, and this chlorotoluene on oxidation with strong oxidizing agent like caminophore will give us chlorobenzoic acid. It will give us chlorobenzoic acid, and in our option, in our question is, which of the following compounds on oxidation gives only benzoic acid, and it will give us chlorobenzoic acid. So option 1 and option 2 both are incorrect. Now coming to the next, here are option 3, this is our chlorobenzene. So chlorobenzene on oxidation will not give us benzoic acid, so option 3 is also incorrect. Option 4 is benzyl chloride. So benzyl chloride on oxidation with the strong oxidizing agent caminophore, it will gives us benzoic acid. It will gives us benzoic acid. This CH2 group will oxidize into the carboxylic group, and we will obtain benzoic acid as a major product of this reaction. So option 4 is the correct answer. Benzyl chloride on oxidation will give us benzoic acid as a major product of this reaction. When it will react with a strong oxidizing agent like K2Cr2O7 or caminophore, then it will give us benzoic acid. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is reaction. Here we have this amide and this amide will react with this reagent NaOBr gives, right? Students, when amide CH3C double bond O and H2. So when this amide will react with NaOBr. Students, we know that when amide will react with this reagent, and this reaction is known as a Nehm reaction. This is a Nehm reaction and this reaction is known as Hoffmann-Bromamide reaction. Alright. So this reaction is a Hoffmann-Bromamide reaction. In this reaction, when amide will react with this reagent, then it will convert it into the primary amide, CH3NH2. So this is the final product of this reaction mixture, and here this amide, in this amide, this one carbon is less compared to amide, right? So this is the final product of this reaction. This is the Hoffmann-Bromamide reaction. In this reaction, when amide will react with this reagent, then we will obtain primary amide as a final product of this reaction. So here option 4 is the correct answer. CH3NH2 are final product of this reaction mixture. Thank you. Hello dear students, so our next question is benzene diazonium chloride can be converted into phenyl hydrazine with. So here we have this is benzene diazonium chloride. And it will be converted into the phenyl hydrazine. Okay, so which reagent can convert this benzene diazonium chloride into the phenyl hydrazine, right? So here only one reagent can convert this conversion. So this is acid Cl2 HCl. Acid Cl2 HCl is a good reducing agent, so it will convert this benzene diazonium chloride into the phenyl hydrazine, right? And it is a selective reducing agent, so option 1 is the correct answer. But other NaBH4, LiLH4 and NaETOH cannot convert this conversion, so option 1 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Hello Shen, this question is asking that sucrose disaccharide made of glucose and the fructose disaccharide reacts with acetic anhydride to form. So whenever we are treating any sugar, any carbohydrate with acetic anhydride, there will be formation of ester. So how can we write here the reaction in such way? Have a look. Suppose carbon is bonded by the OH group, and here acetic anhydride CH3 C double bond O CO CH3. Now you can see that acetic acid molecule will be removed and we will get here the carbon, oxygen, next C double bond O CH3. This is acetate group. So the reaction is depending on the number of OH group, If only one OH group is present, there will be formation of monoacetate. If 4 OH group are present, there will be formation of the tetraacetate. And you can see that sucrose is having here how many OH group? 1. Next OH group, second, third, fourth, fifth OH group, 6th, 7th and the 8th. Total 8 OH group are present. So this will form here the octaacetate. Hexa in case of 6 OH are present here. Not possible. Penta 5, tetra 4. So tetra is possible in case of, we can say that glucose and the fructose. So glucose is also kind of the pentaacetate. So wrong option is here. Here based on the structure of the sucrose, only octaacetate is possible. Hexaacetate is glucose. Glucose is a pentaacetate, glucose. And in case of fructose, this is also pentaacetate. But each of glucose and fructose are losing their OH group to make here the glycosidic linkage. It means now 4 and 4. Both of these will contribute here the 4 OH group in their structure. fructose structure. This is the beta D fructose, OH 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the structure of alpha D glucose, OH 1, 2, and 3, 4. So we are getting here octaacetate, and fourth option is correct for you. Thank you.
Hello dear students, our next question is the polymer which has conducting power is, right? So first of all students, here we have some polymers, right? And in this polymer, some polymers are semiconductor of organic chemistry, right? So basically polymer which is having conjugated system, they can show their conducting nature, because conjugated system or resonance will enhance the conducting nature of the compound, right? So now the first is polyethylene, and this is the structure of polyethylene. And you can see in the polyethylene structure, in the polyethylene polymer, any conjugated system are not present, so it cannot show conducting nature. Next is polybutadiene. So here you can see this is the polymer of polybutadiene, and you can see in the polybutadiene conjugated system are not present, right? This pi bond is not in the conjugation with this pi bond, right? So here conjugated system are not present, so it cannot show their conducting nature, right? Because it is not having any conducting nature, because conjugated system are not present. Next is polystyrene. Students, you can see this is the polystyrene, right? This is the polystyrene, and in this polystyrene, this benzene ring are present, which is having conjugated system also, and here a stable carbocation will form at this carbon atom. So that's why this compound will readily undergoes in chain growth polymerization, right? So that's why this polystyrene is having conducting nature, so it can show their conducting power, right? So this is having conducting power. Now the next is polyacetylene, and this is the structure of polyacetylene. And this is the polymer of polyacetylene, and you can see in the polyacetylene this conjugated system are present, right? So if in this compound conjugated system are present, then we know that resonance will enhance the conducting nature of the compound, right? So this compound can show conductive power, right? So polyacetylene and polystyrene both can show their conductive power. So third and fourth, so option 3 is your correct answer, right? Because these are semiconductor of the organic chemistry, option 3 and third and fourth compound. So that's why option 3 is your correct answer. Thank you so much for watching. Hello dear students, our next question is nylon 6,6 is an example of, right? So basically students, we know that nylon 6,6 is a copolymer of the adipic acid and hexamethylene diamine, right? So this is the structure of adipic acid. And here we have hexamethylene diamine NH2, CH2 whole 6 NH2, right? So when this adipic acid and this hexamethylene diamine will react together, will combine together, and here we will obtain CH2 whole 4 C double bond O and H, here CH2 whole 6 NH. All right, this is the structure of a nylon 6,6, right? So students, basically we know that nylon 6,6 is an example of polyamide fiber. Why? Because we know that polyamide fiber is a polymer which is having repeating units linked by amide bond, right? You can see here that into the nylon 66 this amide bond are present, right? So here this nylon 66 is contain repeating units by the linked by amide bonds. Here again this amide bonds are present, right, in this polymer, right? So basically this nylon 66 is an example of polyamide fiber. So that's why option 3 is the correct answer. Thank you. Hello dear students, our next question is the following structure represents, right? So first of all, students, you can see here that in this structure, this is our alpha D glucose, right? This is our alpha D glucose. Here hydrogen is present. This is first carbon, second carbon, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon, and this is sixth carbon. Here hydrogen, right? So this is all alpha D glucose. And then this next structure is beta D fructose. This is beta D fructose. Here first, second, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon, and this is sixth carbon, right? So this is beta D fructose and this is alpha D glucose. So students, you can see here that here one glycosidic linkage is also present, right? So basically this compound is contained two monomers, alpha D glucose and beta D fructose, and this compound is known as sucrose. So option 1 is the correct answer, right? So structure of this compound represents the sucrose because sucrose contains the two monomer, alpha D glucose and beta D fructose. So that's why option 1 is the correct answer. Thank you.
Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, which of the following sample contains the smallest number of atoms? Okay, smallest number of atoms. Okay, so if the number of moles will be less, then the number of atoms will be less. Okay, so first of all, we will see here. First of all, here we have CO2. Okay, what is the molecular mass of CO2? This will be 44. What is the molecular mass of C8H18? This will be 12 into 8 plus 18 into 1. So this is 96 plus 18, that will be 114. Okay, molar mass of C8H18 is 114. Molar mass of LiF, here we have 7 plus 19, this will be 26. Molar mass is 26 here. Here we have B4H10, this will be 11 into 4 plus 10. So this is coming out to be 54. Okay, this is coming out to be 54 grams. Okay, this is the molar mass of B4H10. Okay, so first of all, we have 1 gram of CO2. So here number of moles of CO2 is given mass upon the molar mass, that is 44. Okay, first of all we will find the molar mass of, number of moles in each of the following. So number of moles of C8H18, this is coming out to be number of moles given mass 1 upon molar mass 114. Number of moles of LiF, this is coming out to be given mass 1 upon molar mass 26. And the number of moles in B4, number of moles of B4H10, number of moles of B4H10, this is given mass 1 upon the molar mass, that will be 54. Okay, now these are the number of moles. These are the number of moles. Okay, so first of all, but we need to find the number of atoms. We need to find the number of atoms. So here you can see in 1 mole of CO2, I'm writing it here, 1 mole of CO2, we have 1 mole carbon plus 2 mole oxygen, total 3 moles. Total 3 moles of atom. In 1 mole of CO2 we have 3 moles of atoms. So in 1 by 44 moles, total number of moles of atom, that will be 3 by 44 mole atoms. 3 by 44 moles atoms. Next one here, here we have C8H18. So in 1 mole of C8H18, we have 8 moles of carbon plus 18 moles of hydrogen atom. Total number of moles will be 26 moles of atom. In 1 mole of C8H18, total 26 moles of atom is there. So in 1 by 114 moles, we have 26 upon 114 moles of atoms. Now in LiF, if I take 1 mole of lithium fluoride LiF, so here we have 1 mole of lithium plus 1 mole of fluorine atoms. Okay, so total number of moles will be 2 moles. So here in 1 mole LiF we have 2 moles atom. So here we have 2 by 26 moles of atom, and here in B4H10, okay, I'm writing it here, 1 mole B4H10, we have 4 moles of B plus 10 moles of H plus 10 moles of H. Total number of moles will be 14. In 1 mole of B4H10 we have 14 moles of atom. So in 1 by 54 moles we will be having 14 upon 54 moles of atom. Okay, these are the number of moles of atom. So if the number of moles is small, then the number of atoms itself, it will also be small. Okay, so which one is the least one? So here you can see 3 upon 44 is the least among each of all of them. Okay, so our correct option from here, it will be option number 1, that is 1 gram of CO2. Hello students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, suppose X and Y are two elements that form two compounds, Y2X3 and Y2X. If 0.5 moles of Y2X3 weighs 90 gram and 0.1 mole of Y2X weighs 10 gram, then the atomic weight of X and Y are. Okay, so first of all, we have 0.5 moles of Y2X3, correct? So in 1 mole of Y2X3, we will be having 2 moles of Y and 3 moles of X, correct? And so in 0.5 moles of Y2X3, we will be having 1 mole of Y and 1.5 moles of X. And the mass of 0.5 mole Y2X3, this is given as 90 grams. Okay, so this is basically 1 mole of Y plus 1.5 mole X, that weighs how much? That weighs 90 grams. Correct. Now see here, 0.1 mole of Y2X weighs 10 grams. Okay, so here 0.1 mole Y2X. If I take 1 mole of Y2X, this will be, here we have 2 moles of Y and 1 moles of X. Correct. So in 0.1 mole of Y2X, in 0.1 mole of Y2X, we will be having 0.2 moles of Y and 0.1 moles of X. And it is given that 0.2 moles of Y plus 0.1 moles of X, that weighs how much? That weighs 80, that weighs how much? That weighs 10 gram basically. Okay, so this is not 180, this is basically 10. Okay, so now we need to solve these two equations. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. Okay, so first of all, multiplying this equation by 2, so what we are getting is 2y plus 3x, that will be equal to 180. This is our equation, and this equation, multiplying this equation by 10, so we are getting it as 2y plus x, that will be equal to what? That will be equals to 100. On solving these two equations, multiplying, subtracting this from this, subtracting equation number 1 and 2. Okay, so if I subtract equation number 2 from equation number 1, this 2y and 2y will get cancelled. I'm getting here as 3x minus x is equals to 180 minus 100, that will be equals to 80. Okay, so from here 2x is equals to 80, or x is equals to what? X is equals to 40. Okay, so weight of x here, it is 40. Weight of x is 40. Just put this value in this equation. So basically 2y plus x is equals to 100. Okay, and x is what? X is 40. So 2y plus 40 is equals to 100, or 2y is equals to 60, or I can write this as y is coming out to be 30. Mass of y here it is 30. Okay, so our option, correct option will be 40, that is the mass of x, and 30, that is the mass of y. So 40 and 30 is the correct option. So option number 1 here, it is the correct option. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, the number of electrons and neutrons of an element are 18 and 20 respectively. The mass number is, okay, so now see here, first of all, what is the chemical representation of an element? This will be ZXA. Here Z is our atomic number. Here Z is our atomic number, that will be equals to the number of protons. A is mass number, basically mass number, that will be equals to number of protons plus neutrons. Okay, one more thing, number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons for the neutral species, correct? So now we have given that the number of electrons are 18 and number of neutrons are 20. Electrons will be 18 and number of neutrons will be 20. Correct. So now, since it is a neutral species, the number of electrons will be equal to the number of protons. Now we need to find the mass number. Okay, so mass number is what? Mass number is basically the number of neutrons plus protons. So that will be equals to 20 plus 18. So this is coming out to be 38. Correct. So from here our correct option will be option number 4, that is 38. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, an electron jumps from an outer orbit to an inner orbit. Okay, it jumps from an outer orbit to an inner orbit with an energy difference of 3 electron volt. Okay, basically delta E is given, that is 3 electron volt. What will be the wavelength of the line emitted? Wavelength of the line emitted. Okay, so now say here, the change in the energy delta E is equals to what? It is equals to hc divided by lambda. Delta E is equals to hc by lambda. Okay, so now see here, the energy difference is 3 electron volt. Okay, 1 electron volt is equals to what? 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. 1 electron volt is equals to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. So basically 3 electron volts is equals to 3 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules, and E, delta E is equals to what? Is equals to hc by lambda. H is what? It is a Planck's constant, that will be 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 into the value of c, that is the speed of light, that will be 3 into 10 to the power 8 upon, we need to find the wavelength, that is lambda, correct? So after solving this, we are getting the value of lambda in meters, and we'll convert that value into angstrom, that it is coming out to be nearly 4140 angstrom. It is coming out to be nearly 4140 angstrom, correct? So from here our correct option will be option number 3.
Ashwin, this question is asking that the ion that is isoelectronic, it means number of electrons are equal, with CO and having same bond order. Ashwin, if number of electrons are same in diatomic species, obviously bond order will be same. So we are supposed to calculate only electron, nothing else. So carbon atomic number 6, oxygen atomic number 8, total electron 14. Next, 1 oxygen 8, 2 oxygen 16, 1 more electron 17, not isoelectronic, leave it. Next, N2, 1 nitrogen 7, 2 nitrogen 14, plus 1, it means 1 electron is removed, 13, not isoelectronic. O2 plus 1, O2 16 electron plus 1, 1 electron is removed here, 15. Next, Cn minus, 1 carbon 6, 1 nitrogen 7, 1 more electron, total 14. So both of these are isoelectronic as well as bond order is also same. First option is correct for you. Thank you. Student, this question is asking that in the electronic structure of H2SO4 sulfuric acid, the total number of unshared electron, it means unshared electron, it means lone pair. So have a look, electron of lone pair. So we can draw here the structure in such way: HOSOH, double bond O, double bond O. Next, oxygen is having configuration 2,6, it means 6 electron in the outermost shell, and sulfur is having here the 2,8,6. So sulfur is making here, you can see that 6 bonds, so all electrons are consumed. These are the bond pairs, but each oxygen is having 4 electron in form of 2 lone pair. 4 electron in form of 2 lone pair. So how many oxygen are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Each oxygen is having 4 electron. Total 16 electron are present here. Question is asking about the unshared electron, not about the lone pairs. So 8 lone pairs are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 to the 16 electrons are present. These are the unshared electrons. So second option is going to be correct here. Thank you. Student, this question is asking that which of the following set of properties belong to PCl5? And you can see that statements are given based on the structure and the hybridization. So how can we identify here the hybridization? Very simple. Hybridization equals to A B X L Y. It means the sum of X plus Y. X plus Y. What is this? B for the bonded atom and L it means the lone pair. So we can write here the PCl5. Phosphorus is having 285 configuration. It means 5 electron in outermost shell. All the 5 electrons are consumed here to make the bond with the 5 chlorine. That means no any lone pair is present. So this will make here the AB5. 5 bonded atom, and L0, no any lone pair is present here. So 5 plus 0 it equals to 5, and it will show here the sp3d hybridization 3, 4, 5. We are having one more technique, that is hybridization equals to 1/2 valence electron plus monovalent atom. So 1/2 valence electron are 5 for the phosphorus, and monovalent atom are either hydrogen or halogen. Monovalent, one valency, mono for the one, valent for the valency. Single valency is there. So 5 chlorine are present here, 5 halogen. So 10/2 it means 5, that is sp3d. And we can have here the structure in such way: phosphorus central atom bonded by chlorine 1, 2, 3 trigonal, and bipyramidal structure is there. This is trigonal and bipyramidal. Now check it. sp3 is wrong. sp3d2 wrong option. So either 4 or second can be there. Square planar is the wrong option. Trigonal bipyramidal, correct geometry. 5 valence shell pair of the electron. So bond pair 1, bond pair 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bond pair are present in the valence shell. So second option is going to be correct for you. Thank you.
Hello students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, calculate the total pressure in a 10-liter container or 10-liter cylinder basically, which contains 0.4 gram of helium, 1.6 gram of oxygen and 1.4 gram of nitrogen, and the temperature is given as 27 degrees Celsius. That means basically 300 Kelvin. Okay, so now we need to calculate the total pressure. We have given the volume as 10 liter. We have given the temperature as 27 degrees Celsius. That will be equals to 300 Kelvin. Now the number of moles of helium first. Okay, number of moles of helium, it is given mass 0.4 upon the molar mass, that will be 4. Okay, so this will be 0.1 mole, correct. Now number of moles of oxygen, O2, so this will be 1.6 given mass divided by 32, and that will be coming out, that is coming out to be 0.05 moles. Next, the number of moles of nitrogen, so that will be 1.4 given mass divided by the molecular mass or molar mass, that will be 28. Okay, so this will be 0.05 mole. So total number of moles will be 0.1 plus 0.05 plus 0.05. So this will be equals to 0.2 moles. Now we know our ideal gas equation. What is our ideal gas equation? PV is equals to what? PV is equals to nRT. So we need to calculate the pressure. It will be as it is. Next, the volume is 10 liters. So I'll just write it here as 10. Number of moles, the total number of moles will be 0.2 moles into the value of R, which is 0.0821 into the temperature, which is 300 Kelvin. Okay, so this will be P into 10 is equals to 0.2 into this will be 24.63. Okay, so pressure, it is coming out to be 24.63 into 0.2 divided by 10, and after solving this I am getting it as 0.492 atm. 0.492 atm. Correct. So from here our correct option will be option number 1, that will be 0.492 atm. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is the heat of formation delta H naught F of H2O liquid is equals to. Okay, so here what is heat of formation or what is enthalpy of formation? Basically enthalpy of formation is the enthalpy change when 1 mole of compound is formed from its constituent element in basically their standard states. Okay, so here delta HF naught for H2O liquid. So H2O liquid will be formed from H2 plus half O2. This will give H2O as 1 mole H2O. Okay, so here you will see that the constituent elements will be in their standard state. So H2 will be in gaseous state and O2 will also be in gaseous state. Okay, so this is basically our reaction. So here the heat of formation of H2O liquid is equals to this one is the wrong one. Now look at option number 2, molar heat of combustion of H2 liquid. Okay, here it is saying liquid, so this cannot be the correct one. Now here if you will see the third option, molar heat of combustion of H2 gas. Here you will see that 1 mole of compound is being burnt completely in presence of excess of oxygen. So here this will be equals to molar heat of combustion of H2 gas, or that will be equals to heat of formation of H2O liquid. So here our option number 3 will be the correct option. Now look at option number 4 also, sum of heat of formation of H2O gas and O2. This will not be the correct one. Our option number 3 will be the correct option. Hello students, coming to the next question. Our next question is a 0.01 molar ammonia solution is 5% ionized. The concentration of OH minus ions is. Okay, so ammonia basically NH3, or I can write this as NH4OH. NH4OH. Now if it dissociates, it will be dissociated into NH4 plus OH minus. Correct, plus this will be OH minus. Now here you'll see NH4OH is getting dissociated into NH4 plus and OH minus. Suppose the initial concentration will be C and it will be dissociated C alpha. So this will become C alpha and this will become C alpha. Now here we have given that the value of alpha is basically 5% ionized. So value of alpha will be what? The value of alpha will be 0.05 because basically 100% ionization, that means alpha is equals to 1. So basically 5% ionization, so alpha will be 0.05. And we have given our value of concentration also, this will be 0.01. So here we have our value of concentration. So for the concentration of OH minus, here we have already found that the concentration of OH minus is what? It is C alpha. So basically concentration of OH minus, this will be equals to C alpha. That will be equals to 0.01 into 0.05. Okay, so this is coming out to be what? This is coming out to be 0.0005. Correct. So from here, our correct option will be option number 3. That will be 0.0005 here. That is option number 3. Okay, students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, manganese acts as strongest oxidizing agent in the oxidation state. Okay, so basically what is our oxidizing agent? Which oxidizes other and itself it is getting reduced. Okay, oxidizes other and itself it is getting reduced. So here if you'll see, if Mn will be in +7 oxidation state, which is its highest oxidation state, so there it can be only reduced and it cannot be oxidized, and since it is in the highest oxidation state, so here it will act as the strongest oxidizing agent in all of these. Okay, so in +7 oxidation state it will act as strongest oxidizing agent, hence our correct option will be what? Our correct option will be option number 1, that is +7. Okay, students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, fraction of empty spaces in AB type arrangement in 3D is. Okay, so here basically AB type arrangement is present in our hexagonal closed pack structure, which is our HCP structure, and we already know that in case of HCP, the packing efficiency, or if I write it as packing fraction, if I write this as packing fraction, we have studied this in theory, the packing fraction will be 0.74. 74% is our packing efficiency. So basically from here the void fraction is coming out to be 1 minus 0.74, that will be equals to 0.26. correct. So from here our correct option will be option number 2, that will be 0.26 here. Okay, students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, 25 ml A when added to 25 ml B, then the total volume is 55 ml. Okay, hence the solution is, so basically our correct option will be option number 2, that is minimum boiling azeotrope. How? So here you will see that here the delta V mixing is greater than 0. Here delta V mixing is greater than 0. Okay, so here you'll see minimum boiling azeotrope are formed by solution which show positive deviation from Raoult's law, and the boiling point of azeotrope is less than any of the component. So here you will see here it is positive deviation. So our correct option will be what? Our correct option will be option number 2, that is it is minimum boiling azeotrope. Okay, students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, a solution of sucrose whose molar mass is 342 grams per mole is prepared by dissolving 68.4 gram of it per liter of solution. What is its osmotic pressure? Okay, we need to find the value of osmotic pressure. So basically the formula of osmotic pressure is pi is equals to CRT. Pi is equals to what? Pi is equals to CRT. Here we need to find the osmotic pressure pi, which is equals to the concentration, that is molarity. Okay, so here if we find the value of concentration, this will be number of moles of solute upon volume of solution in liters. Okay, now number of moles, here we have given mass as 68.4 divided by the molar mass, which is our 342. Okay, so here what we are getting is number of moles is equals to 684 10 to the power minus 1 divided by 342. So this will cancel 2 times and our number of moles will be 0.2. Now the concentration will be what? Concentration will be 0.2 divided by per liter of solution, that means volume is 1 liter and our concentration is coming out to be 0.2. Now let's just put this here. So concentration is 0.2 into the value R. Here R will be 0.082 into the value of temperature, which is given as 273 Kelvin. Okay, so here this will be 0.2 into this will be 22.4. and our answer is coming out to be what? Our answer is coming out to be 4.48 atm, and our correct option from here, it will be option number 2, that is 4.48 atm. Okay, students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, Given L by A is equals to 0.5 centimeter inverse, R is given as 50 ohm, this is our resistance, and normality is given as 1. The equivalent conductance of the electrolytic cell. Basically, we need to find the value of equivalent conductance here. So basically, its formula will be what? Its formula will be kappa into this will be 1000 divided by N. Since we need to find the value in ohm inverse centimeter square gram equivalent. Okay, or this can be written as Simon centimeter square, this will be per equivalent, Simon centimeter square per equivalent, or this can be ohm inverse centimeter square per equivalent. Okay, here we have our formula. Okay, here we need to find the equivalent conductance. For that we need the value of kappa. Okay, K. Here what is K? It is conductivity, and we know that conductivity is what? Conductivity is basically equals to the conductance G into the cell constant, which is L upon A. Conductivity is equals to conductance into L upon A. And what is conductance? This will be inverse of resistance. So this will be written as 1 by R into this will be L upon A. Okay, here we have the value of R as 50 ohm. So let's just put it here. So this will be equals to 1 upon 50 into L by A. Given that L by A is 0.5 centimeter inverse. Okay, so here this will be 0.5. So if I solve this, this will be equals to 5 into 10 to the power minus 1 divided by 50. This will be 1, this will be 10. So this will be equals to 10 to the power minus 2. This will be equals to 10 to the power minus 2. Okay, so here we have our value of kappa. Let's just put it here. So basically the equivalent conductance, this will be equals to what? This will be kappa, which is 10 to the power minus 2 into this will be 1000 divided by the normality, and normality is given as what? Normality is given as 1. So the equivalent conductance, this will be equals coming out to be equals to 10. This will be Simon centimeter square per equivalent. Okay, and here our correct option will be option number 1, that is 10 ohm inverse centimeter square per gram equivalent, or this can also be written as 10 Simon centimeter square per equivalent. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, when X amperes of current is passed through molten AlCl3 for 96.5 seconds, 0.09 grams of aluminium is deposited. What is the value of X? We need to find the value of X here. That means basically the amount of current, basically X amperes of current. Okay, so we have studied W is equals to what? W is equals to EIT upon 96500. Here W is the mass deposited, basically that means the mass of aluminium. E is the equivalent weight of the aluminium. Here I is current, T is time. Okay, so here we have given that the value of W, which is 0.09 gram. The value of W is given as 0.09 grams is equals to the equivalent weight of aluminium. This will be equals to what? This will be the molecular weight or atomic weight upon the N factor. Here we have AlCl3. N factor here will be 3. Okay, into this will be current, which is given as X, I'm taking it here as I, into time, which is given as 96.5 seconds, upon this will be 96500. Okay, so here this will be 3 ones are, this will be 3 nines are, and here I can write this as 9 into 10 to the power minus 2 is equals to this will be 9 into I into this can be written as 965 into 10 to the power minus 1 divided by this will be 96500. Here this 9 and this 9 will get cancelled out. Here this is 965, so here it will be 100. And here this will be 10 to the power minus 1. So here the remaining one will be 10 to the power minus 1. Okay. And the value of I from here, this is coming out to be equals to, this will be 10 to the power minus 1 into this will be 100. Okay. So this is coming out to be 10 ampere. The value of X in amperes, this will be 10. And our correct option from here, it will be option number 1, that is 10 amperes. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, acid hydrolysis of sucrose is a. Okay, so here this is a theory question. Our correct option will be, it is a pseudo first order reaction. So first of all, what is a pseudo first order reaction? basically some elementary bimolecular reaction in which one of the reactant is taken in excess. So if one of the reactant is taken in excess, its concentration will be constant, and they appears to be of second order, but they actually follow first order kinetics. So this is basically a pseudo first order reaction. When we have done acid hydrolysis of sucrose, so basically in that case H2O is present in excess, and if H2O is present in excess, its concentration will be taken as constant, and the rate will depend only and only on the concentration of sucrose. So that will be a pseudo first order reaction. Our correct option will be option number 1. Okay students, coming to the next question. Our next question is, micelle is a term used for the aggregates formed in solution by colloidal electrolyte, colloidal non-electrolyte, non-associated colloids, or none of the above. Okay, so basically we are talking about micelle, or basically we can say associated colloids. Okay, basically associated colloids. So basically what is micelle? So here if we talk about micelle, so some substance which at lower concentration behaves as a normal strong electrolyte, but at higher concentration they exhibit colloidal behavior due to formation of aggregates. Okay, and the aggregates thus formed are known as basically micelle. Okay, so here micelle is a term used for the aggregates formed in solution by colloidal electrolyte. Here our correct option will be option number 1.